What's up and welcome back to the channel. The name is Ninja Knight. Make sure you like, share, subscribe and hit the notification bell up above for future uploads and check out the link posted down below. Thank you. So Manchester United this evening played against Sheffield United, and it was a game that I thought Manchester United should comfortably and easily win. If this is a team that is challenging for the Premier League, they should be well able to beat bottom of the league Sheffield United. It didn't pan out that way, and I'm going to discuss that in this video. There's a couple of performances within this game as well too that I want to highlight in terms of how poor they played, and also what sort of question marks are surrounding the club at this moment in time. So as we can see here, I'm going to go through each of the players. I'm going to talk about what I thought about their performance within the game. And I'll have to say, first thing I'm going to say is I think Sheffield United played an excellent game in terms of they dug deep, they stuck to Chris Wilder's instructions, they very much so parked the bus, and that's on United then to break down, particularly when Manchester United are at home. Sheffield United did what they did to get a result out of what they did. I think before I crack on into that now, I'm going to say there was two very bad refereeing decisions in my opinion within the game. I think that's not going to come as any surprise, particularly as a Manchester United fan, but I think when the first goal occurs and the second, in a way, I would say the goal between Martial and their keeper happened, how you decide to blow a free up for one and not the other is beyond me. How somebody that's sitting in VAR decides that one is a free and one is not a free is very much so beyond me. Very strange in itself. But anyway, we'll go with this and I'll just talk about De Gea first of all. De Gea, I think, for the first goal didn't cover himself in glory. He's a keeper, in my opinion, that isn't very good under the ball in terms of if a cross comes in. He's very panicky as well when ball is at his feet. And I think, if anything, this season has really shown that whilst he's a great shot stopper and most of the time is a very good keeper, there are flaws in that game that need to be ironed out. And I don't think that at this time and I suppose part of his career he's ever going to iron something like that out. You never get a commanding presence from David De Gea in the goal in terms of if a ball comes in high that he's going to come out and collect it. When he's coming out and collecting it the way he should have been doing tonight, whether he's pushed or not, he should be clearing ball and players. It's absolutely not even questionable. Him and the ball should be going through the whole air and nobody, it doesn't matter who's in the way, out. Because as we all know, keepers in the modern day game essentially have the benefit of the doubt and are very easily given frees too. So as we've seen that then later in the game with the Martial disallowed goal, that keeper was given the benefit of the doubt in what was a very soft decision because Maguire's looking at the ball, he's watching the ball and he's running for it and the keeper spills it. That's on the Sheffield United keeper in my opinion and not so much Harry Maguire. So if you're going to not give a free for a man that's pushing into David De Gea and you're going to give a free against the man standing underneath the ball and the keeper spills it, it certainly makes it a bit of a farce and a joke of the game. It's something that I would have hoped to be ironed out with VAR and all of this, but it's certainly causing more controversies than anything else when the rules are just so inconsistent and people then are not doing what they should be doing, because it's essentially caused a big problem within this game. I mean, if Martial at that point in time scores, do United go on to win the game? Is that the goal that they needed to win the game? Does it give them more of a comfortable ability within the game and it's not having to chase it? Who knows from there? And it's a very strange one in itself. Harry Maguire has had another performance where I think he did okay. He scored a goal, yes, but also I think he doesn't seem commanding at all at the back. Some of the passing from him this evening was absolutely woeful. He was kicking the ball out of touch, short passing it. This was stuff as well that was seen in the Liverpool game, in the cup game. This guy looks all over the place. I think it's time to really understand now at this moment that he is not Manchester United material. He's great as a backup, but to me he's like a small bit of an improvement on Phil Jones. You just always get the sense that he's one error away from causing an absolute disaster. He's been caught in his heels an awful lot within this game. He doesn't seem to command the box. And when you have a youth player basically standing beside you in Axel Tuanzebe, it's your job as the leader and as the captain to direct him and tell him what to do and to marshal that defence. That defence is probably the weakest part of Manchester United. And when I say that, tonight Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with his decision, and this is something I'm going to talk about in this video, multiple decisions in this game cost United the game. I think a stronger team from the outset absolutely blasts Sheffield United away, and that's only with a couple of changes. And then when he makes changes later in the game, he made an absolute mess of it. But for Maguire, I think now the clock is ticking in terms of he has to really have a really good rest of the season. Otherwise, I'd certainly be looking elsewhere. I know United are certainly looking at other centre halves, but I think this idea now of keeping a guy because he's English and making him captain and he's not really producing the goods, I think is a very big error, specifically at a big club. I mean, there's no other clubs that are doing that. Look at the amount of defenders that Manchester City have gone through to ensure that they have the proper ones now at their disposal. Look at the amount of defenders that the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich go through to make sure that the proper ones at their disposal. Hanging on to this guy who is an absolute liability for the long term is a problem. The next one I'm coming to is Paul Pogba. This is a guy that I think if he's given about 45%, maybe 50% is all he's really given now in the Manchester United shirt. Is it a shop window type of idea? Possibly. I thought he had a good game against Liverpool on the weekend. I thought he's been having a couple of good games, to be fair. And when I say good games, he's been alright. You would expect that out of a guy that's won a World Cup. You would expect big performances. Now, I would say myself that I think N'Golo Kante was probably the most important individual for that France World Cup. I wouldn't put Paul Pogba up as one of the individuals that was absolutely instrumental within that victory. But he's someone that comes with a big expectation. He comes with a big ego, and it's a guy that should be absolutely waltzing past Sheffield United players. I mean, you're expecting of a World Cup winner. You're expecting this guy to run the show. When we bought Paul Pogba, my assumption was that we were buying basically another version of Yaya Toure. And I want you to cast your mind back and think about Yaya Toure. That was a man that was able to pick up a ball from whatever position and absolutely drive at people, skillfully pass them and then slot home. A magical player, an unbelievable player. I think one of the best midfielders that you'll probably ever see in the game. Incredible talent. And I think that is the type of, I suppose, things that have been levelled at Paul Pogba in terms of he's like this Yaya Toure figure. He's able to do this, he's able to do that. I'm not really saying that, and I think in a game like this, especially when you're looking for someone to stand up and certainly raise the head and say, right lads, come on, let's go, we're looking for a league title. I mean, if you're a winner, you should be winning at all costs, you should be getting in there. And to me, he just kind of shared responsibility again this evening, and it's something that you notice in games like this. There's certain individuals that crack under pressure in this United team, especially when it comes up to big games. They know that Manchester City made a statement yesterday in absolutely whooping West Brom. That was throwing the, I suppose, the gauntlet back down at Manchester United and saying, right, okay, let's have a look and see what you do. Can you beat bottom of the table? It should be easy, 3 points. Failed to do it. And this is what I'm talking about. When you're talking about a senior player like Paul Pogba that is as influential in the dressing room as we're led to believe, this is a guy that you're expecting a big performance from. You're expecting him to be rescuing. Anthony Martial is the next person I'm moving on to, and I have to say, I'm baffled as to why, first of all, he's playing in the team when he's absolutely been stinking for the last couple of months. He's been absolutely terrible. I know a lot of Manchester United fans have a soft spot for him and they have the song for him as well, but this is a guy that, I mean, he's only a young lad and he runs around as if he's 52. Like, there's no pressure from this guy whatsoever in terms of sprinting back. He loses the ball this evening, which ends up resulting in a goal, and he's jogging back then. That's not something that you should be expecting from a Manchester United player. What I expect from a Manchester United player, and particularly a forward like this guy, is I expect him, if he loses the ball, to run back and he's putting the ball and the man, or either or, into the stand. That's the way it goes. And I mean, you think back of a guy like Wayne Rooney, for example. If Wayne Rooney lost the ball, he would be charging back. And I mean, this is something that bugs me because you've had such a great influence into the team like Bruno Fernandes, who will absolutely run up and down the pitch and chase everything and anything back. You would think and assume that would rub off on some of these clowns. And I mean, Martial is one of these individuals. I would have had him gone yesterday. He's a fella that I'd be putting up on the market now and seeing if there's anybody interested in him. There's talk about Jadon Sancho. Use Martial in the make weight or something like that. And I know an awful lot of people are not going to like to hear that, but this is a guy that's extremely lazy. This isn't a Dimitar Berbatov. This isn't a luxury player that you can account to have in this team at this moment of time. You need all 11 players fired on all cylinders. He doesn't score enough goals, in my opinion, either. And like I said, if he's losing the ball and causing, essentially not defending then either, and just causing goals, this is someone that needs to be fired out of the team immediately. And I'd be giving someone else a chance now at this moment. I would also be thinking about drafting in some individuals maybe from the youth setup. I would certainly be looking at somebody else then maybe outside the system and saying, look, there's someone out here that's a really top class player, let's get them in, because this guy, I don't think, he's not for me. I don't like his attitude. He seems like he's not interested. He's jogging back multiple times that we've seen in games over the last while. I've had enough of him now. I'd have him out of sight. I don't know why he's still playing. And what bothers me even more about this is This guy's playing up front when you have Edinson Cavani, a very proven striker, sitting on the bench. What sort of stupidity is that? Now, I know people will come out and say, oh, well, Solskjaer's resting these guys, expecting to beat them. Yeah, but it's very clear earlier on that Cavani's a better striker than this guy. If Cavani's fit and able to go and he's raring to go, he should be playing as many games as possible, particularly in the league game where it looks the best. I don't care about cups at the moment. I don't care about FA Cup, Carabao Cup, none of that. I care about the Premier League, and I think if the rumours are to be believed with Lionel Messi perhaps moving to Manchester City, this is your best chance. I'm serious. This is the best chance that they can have at trying to win the Premier League within this season and try to gain back some good faith from fans, and also then to attract new players, because what players want to go to a club that's second best? Players want to go to the best clubs. They don't want to go somewhere that's second best. So that's Martial. I'd have him out now. I'd be very much so happy to see him gone. I'd be very much so happy to see Pogba gone. Maguire, De Gea could go too. We need a keeper, by the way, that can play with his feet. We've evolved past the time now where the keeper can stand in the goal and block shots. Doesn't claim crosses. Very suspect with his feet. I'd be seriously looking at somebody else now to try and bring in. Marcus Rashford, another game where he was average enough, which is strange because he played so well against Liverpool. But I think that this is a guy, to be honest, he's playing with injuries over the last couple of years, and he seems to be a guy that definitely does push through the injuries, and I don't think you can make any sort of doubt about that. He's a wholehearted lad. He comes across as such. When he's off at the game, though, he is way off it, and today was another example of him being off the game. Whether he took the knock against Liverpool and it's a knee injury and he went for scans, playing a couple of days later is a very strange decision. And does that say about some of the players that were in the team? I mean, why is, for example, James not playing instead? I know he's not the best player or anything like that, but he'll give you speed, he'll give you pace, he'll give you an option to fly down the wing. And Rashford has been poor for the last while, so why not change something out if you're going to change it, rather than sticking with something that you know? And this is something that comes down to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer picking guys that are like old favourites or something, and you're not going to win a title like that. You have to be ruthless. If Rashford's playing badly, get him out. If Martial's playing badly, get him out. And I mean, he's drafted Paul Pogba back into the team now because some other players weren't picking up the slack, so he's brought Pogba back. The minute these guys aren't playing well, Maguire, bang, out, good, and put him out. I don't care if you play a reserve in the first team. I want to see someone that's full-blooded and ready to go, not people that are going to saunter into the side. Not at all. Greenwood, another performance where he did okay. I think he's young. I think he's inexperienced. I think when you see him coming up against the seasoned defenders and certainly bigger, more physical defenders, they're easy to push him off, and it's a difficult game for him. So to be honest, he's a young lad. There might be better coming from him. I think his confidence is taking a knock this season. It certainly seems like the head is a little bit not in the game. To give him the benefit of the doubt on that one, but I don't want to see this guy turning into another Jesse Lingard where he pops up every kind of 5 or 6 games, might grab a goal, looks decent, and then he's played in the side and it's like, well, it's a waste of a space here now because the guy's not doing much. It is difficult against the side that are sitting in and they're sitting deep, but that's the decisions that the manager is making. I mean, you have guys like Van de Beek, who's quite talented, sitting on the bench, and then you have Greenwood playing. You decide to make that substitution later on, then why are you not starting with that then? If that's the case, when you're chasing the game, why not put the game to bed very early? Very strange. Best player in the pitch, I think, Bruno Fernandes again. I mean, yes, had some stray passes this evening. He does try the inventive a lot of the times. Some things didn't come off. A couple of shots as well too, blocked by defenders. And I think that's just bordered on frustration. And I mean, you can see him even at half time. He's like saying to lads, look, this is what we need to be doing. You can see him before the ball's even kicked, saying to Rashford, you need to run down. Looking at Tellez, saying to Tellez, you need to be doing this. This guy's a born leader. He's a captain material in my opinion. I'd be stripping Maguire the captaincy straight away and I'd be giving it to Fernandes. That's the guy I want to be running the club because he is phenomenal. This is a guy, by the way, that if United don't get their house in order, he won't be long at the club. You will have top clubs that'll be looking at him. Your Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, Bayern Munich, PSG, Juventus, these clubs there, loads of money, they'll be looking at Bruno Fernandes and saying, yeah, we'll have him. Because this is a guy now that will realise that some of the players that are around him are absolutely terrible, and he'll just want to win trophies, and deservedly so. He's an amazing player. He has very big interest in Manchester United, and I think it would be a shame not to put players around him then that are of the same quality or at least a similar level and a similar desire, and that's what I want to see. I was delighted to see Alex Tellez starting tonight, and this was something that I'm a big fan of him. I think he crosses a ball very well. He's very accurate, and even for the goal for Harry Maguire, fantastic corner in there. I think he's a very good dead ball specialist, and he also then had a very decent effort before he was substituted, and I think that was an erroneous substitution late in the game. I don't know what Solskjaer's game is in terms of Alex Telles. We've seen Luke Shaw's gotten a lot of credit over the last couple of weeks. I think Luke Shaw is very defensively poor, to be honest, and I think Alex Telles is a better defender. When you're looking at the goal that was conceded, particularly the second goal, because Twanzebe and because there's a lack of direction from Martial, Matic, and also then from Harry Maguire not telling Twanzebe to go, Telles is caught between two minds of whether to stay with the man that's going to stand in front of the goal, or is he going to go left and look at the individual that's over here in case the pass is cut out. In that moment in time, Twanzebe should have been pushing out and stopping the likes of Bourke from getting the shot off, especially the second time. That's what should have been happening. So I think Alex Telles being subbed off was unfair. I think when you sub him off for Luke Shaw, what is the decision making behind that? It's very strange when you sub off a defender who's a very good crosser of the ball for a guy who's not as good a crosser of a ball or a passer of the ball even. It's odd. It seems very odd. Wan-Bissaka, another decent game. He's a guy that's, for me, he hasn't progressed under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I would have liked to see that this guy's attacking technique get better. It hasn't. His defensive ability is quite good, but I think when you notice what Aaron Wan-Bissaka is, it seems like he makes an awful lot of last-ditch tackles which are unneeded if he just started to jockey fellas and stay on them and push them on and stuff like that. I think it's unusual when you see a guy go to ground so often in a game. It just says to me that his starting position mightn't be as good as it should be. But another good performance, I have to say, from him. Did decently. I can't really criticise too much. Matic, for me, in this game, I think even exemplified that. I think he's done. He's done. The legs aren't quite there anymore. There was a couple of sloppy passes. When you look at the goal, particularly the second goal, a lack of pressing, putting the hands behind the back and kind of walking out rather than pressing really hard. That's where I would have had, say, Fred in. Like, Fred is a better, as much as he's a bad passer of the ball, he's a very good work rate, he's very energetic, and he's very aggressive. I think if Fred was in the position that Matic was, it's possible that second goal wouldn't have been conceded. And I'm only saying it's possible because Fred would have been on that guy like white on rice. You know, he would have been absolutely brilliant, I think, in that position. And Fred does give you 110%. Whatever about the lad's quality, I think he does give you 100% every time. Whether this was an idea of resting him for this team, I think that he would have been a good substitution on for Matic, particularly at a certain part of the game. Would have been a good idea, particularly to bring more energy. And Fred sometimes will take a pop from 30 yards. Okay, he doesn't score much, if at all, but he could have made the difference to the game. Whereas I think Matic at this moment is, I think he's done. I think he's too slow. I think the desire is not there, and that's not something you need at Manchester United. You need these guys that are going out and going to be pressing that ball. Twanzebe, I thought, had a poor game. You could say that he was caught under the ball as well for the first goal. De Gea didn't cover himself in glory, but Twanzebe as a centre half should be clearing that absolutely. The second goal as well, I think Twanzebe again is at fault because he doesn't press Bourke. I don't think he presses him well enough, and then sort of throws a half-hearted leg which deflects and goes up into the roof of the net. Not good enough in my opinion. And I mean, this is an opportunity for this guy, but again, another strange decision from Solskjaer. If Lindelof is on the bench, why is he not playing? Or if McTominay is on the bench, I mean, there's two players there that you could have played tonight. McTominay actually plays at centre half for Scotland, so if you were looking at saying, well, I want to give McTominay some game time, maybe just rest the legs, put him at centre half. Don't put a lad in here now that's all over the joint. Had one good performance against PSG. Since then, hasn't been great. So to me, again, this is another question mark over this guy. Is he going to make it? Unsure about that. This was a big game to be putting fellas into these type of games, like Twanzebe, Matic. Certainly question marks have to be raised about those ones because they're bad decisions in my opinion. On the bench there, as you can see, Lindelof not used, so you could have had an experienced centre half that probably would have pressed the ball, and it certainly is. In my opinion, I think he's a better communicator than Harry Maguire. Whatever about Lindelof's quality, I think he is a talker at the back. I think he will tell people what's going on. I think he's a better football player in terms of having the ball on the ground and on his feet than most of the players that are there at Manchester United, particularly at the back. I think Lindelof is a decent footballer. He then brings on Shaw then for Alex Telles, a baffling decision. You're chasing the game and you decide to swap a left full who was creative, who was a very good crosser of the ball after putting on Edinson Cavani, and he was just narrowly missed, and you put on Luke Shaw. What is that? I mean, that's a decision that's just absolute ridiculousness. And Solskjaer can talk all he likes about the desire of players and how they got 2 bad decisions given against them. You're the one that's putting on Luke Shaw. I mean, at that point, put on the likes of James, at the very least, to give him problems. Maybe even Juan Mata, that might be an unlocker of some of the keys that were set up this evening by Sheffield United. I mean, Juan Mata was playing in a team that was managed by Jose Mourinho. Like, if anyone knows anything about breaking down and parking the bus, it should be Juan Mata. Now, again, like, this is another player that's legs are kind of going, and I think he's probably finished in himself, specifically at this top level. But to put a left full on for another left full when Alex Telles was playing excellently is alarm bell stuff. It's stupidity. You're chasing the game and you're putting a guy on that's not as good a crosser of the ball and certainly not as good as passer of the ball as Alex Telles. I don't know the decision making or the reasoning behind that. And you have the likes of Michael Carrick, I suppose, sitting on the bench, like, he's probably making these suggestions. For me, it seems like at times that it's a push to get him back into the England setup. I don't know if I'm wrong on that one. I could be wrong on that one. But it seems like the way the media are talking about him recently as well, that it's a push to get him back into the England setup. Because I don't think that the performances from this guy, I think they've been good. I think they're what you'd expect of a Manchester United player, sincerely. I don't think people should be overly enjoying the play that Shaw's doing at the moment. I think this is standard that should be set, it should be understood. I think it should be, this guy should be the starting left full. I mean, you think back to some of the fantastic left fulls that Manchester United had, like Dennis Irwin, Patrice Evra. They're guys that you need to be aspiring to, and then you've sending on Luke Shaw. Steep downward spiral in terms of quality. Van de Beek came on, did okay. I think he's a player that's confidence is low at the moment. I don't think he's played in the right system. I probably at that moment in time probably would have taken Pogba off and switched him with Van de Beek maybe. That might have been a good idea because Pogba didn't really affect the game whatsoever this evening, and it seemed like he didn't want to turn up, and that's the problem you have with Paul Pogba. It seems to be suiting him. Like, he probably thought, oh well, I played in the weekend and I'm not interested in playing again here now this evening and running around, and that's the way it looks. That's just the body language you get from the guy. And then he sends on Cavani then very late in the game. It's madness. I mean, you have a guy that's a prolific goal scorer for Uruguay and PSG, and you're starting Martial ahead of him. I mean, if I was Edinson Cavani, I'd have to be sitting there in the dressing room thinking to myself, I'd be driving myself mad thinking to myself, how is Martial starting ahead of me? Because it doesn't make sense whatsoever. And it's question marks that surround the manager. Again, you see some of the interviews then after the game from Solskjaer, you know, oh yeah, we're disappointed, we'll go again. You see Harry Maguire, oh yeah, we're disappointed, we'll go again. It's the same old trash every week. And I mean, whilst we've had a very good performance over the last couple of weeks, it's not good enough when you're talking about title contenders. Players should be coming off the pitch, and this is just my opinion and experience, absolutely sickened with today's game, absolutely enraged. I'm like Roy Keane in the way that I don't want to see fellas joking and laughing at the end of the game. I don't want to see Solskjaer smiling. This is 3 points that were dropped, big 3 points against a team that's bottom of the league. That's a scenario that should be winning no problem. That should have been Manchester City saying to themselves, oh no, they've got a handy game tomorrow. We'll put 5 past days. Right, well, it's on to next week. We're not going to be worrying about Manchester United getting points again. Now United are after just handing the title race back to City, and City in themselves have had a very decent season. And this is what happens when you have a plan, and I specifically would say a manager in place that has some sort of a plan. Look, Pep Guardiola, I have my own opinions on him myself, but I think when you're given the amount of money that Guardiola is, when you're looking at some of the decisions that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made, I mean, is he the person that brought in Dan James? Is he the person that's brought in certain other individuals like Van de Beek? Did he bring in Cavani? These are all question marks that did he bring in Telles? These are all question marks that I'd have around this situation, because it seems like these players have been brought in and now they're not playing, they're sitting on the bench for lesser players. It's very odd, and I have to say some of the coaching that you're saying seems like it's non-existent. Keeper hasn't gotten better, defenders haven't got better, midfield has gotten somewhat better. I think someone's looking for a move away, which is why Pogba's playing the way he is. Maybe it's the best time to play him because he's looking for the move. Maybe he's shook a leg now in the last couple of games and he probably thinks to himself, well, the job is done now. I look good against Liverpool. Doesn't matter what I do. Someone else will come in and look for me. But I have to say, like, serious question marks had to be asking them in. If, as Manchester United fans, you had to be sitting there and saying to yourself, would Martial get into a top 10? No. Would Harry Maguire get into a top 10? No. Would Paul Pogba get into a top 10? Maybe. Would Rashford, at this moment in time, with the performances that he's given? Maybe. Would Greenwood? No. Would Matic? Definitely not. Would Twanzebe? No. Would Fred? Maybe. Would Cavani? Absolutely. Would Van de Beek? Maybe, maybe not. Would Luke Shaw? No. Luke Shaw's not getting into a top side. No other team in the league would be taking him a top side. No way. Or any other league. Not a chance. And like I'm saying, you're going to see serious interest around him. You're going to see serious interest around Bruno Fernandes. And I think Alex Telles is someone that's in the same vein as Bruno Fernandes, a wholehearted player, very technically good, but seems to be overlooked at the moment for whatever reason for Luke Shaw. It seems like quite an odd one. So they've conceded 2 goals this evening. It's business as usual, back to business as usual. Feeling sorry for themselves. We'll go on next again. We're a young team. We'll learn the same type of nonsense that we're hearing constantly whenever there's a bad result, rather than saying, right, well, it's up to us to break them down and we didn't do enough and we should have better players and we need better players. We need those players that are going to unlock those keys, and we need players that are going to get into this side and really grind out results, because that's what it's about. I mean, against teams like Sheffield United that are sitting back and they're parking the bus, you need to be able to break these teams down. The better teams are breaking teams like that down. Like Manchester City will break a team down like that, no problem. I mean, they would be under a 90-minute onslaught. That would have happened to Sheffield United if they played like that against Manchester City. They'd have been probed. Ball would have been switched. And that's something I had to say about Manchester United at the moment. The ball playing is too slow. The passing is too slow. It's take 1 touch, 2 touch, having a look around, tackles in, ball lost. Ball needs to be zipping around, 1 touch, 2 touch, bang, gone. And then there needs to be quickness that happens. It's way too slow passing the ball back. People complained about Louis van Gaal for this type of stuff. People complained about Louis van Gaal for tiki-taka football that was passing it back and then playing it around, looked nice now like that, 1-0, 2-0. People complained about Jose Mourinho doing the same thing, and seemingly now that the hook is off now at the moment for a guy that's making strange substitutions, strange decisions. If you have a best 11 that's on in that team sheet, your best 11 should be playing. It shouldn't be like, well, I give fellas a bit of game time and see what happens. Absolutely not. I'm very aware that Arsenal are up on the weekend, but you need to be playing your best 11 at all times, and the time will come then for you to be able to rest those players when needs be. Tonight wasn't the night. It's badly caught back with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It shows that he's a manager that's very inexperienced. It shows the experience, I suppose, of Pep Guardiola, that he can rotate players at the right time, and certainly then has a very strong squad around him. Even when he's playing some of the players that are, for example, like Gabriel Jesus, who's a very good striker, but he seems to get a little bit extra out of him, and certainly some of the defenders that he's drafted in as well too to the team have been playing very well, particularly for Pep Guardiola. And then of course then you have Ederson in goal, who's fantastic with his feet and a very good overall footballer, and I mean he's launching attacks from the back. This is the type of stuff that Manchester United need to be looking at. Need to be looking at it very seriously. Is the manager and the team up to the task? I don't know. It's another game, by the way, where pressure has been applied to Manchester United in terms of gauntlet being pushed to them now by Manchester City. It's a failure. They've crumbled again. Is this the end of the title race? I suppose we'll wait and see. I certainly hope it's not. I certainly hope it's going to keep going. I hope this is just a blip in the road. I hope Manchester City lose soon, and a couple of games at that, and that Manchester United get right back into the title race. But this is an opportunity blown to gain back the points that they need, and certainly as well with such a game at Arsenal at the weekend, it's crucial now. I mean, it's crucial that Manchester United beat them, whereas if you'd have beaten Sheffield United and Arsenal being somewhere in form at the moment, if you got out there, whether a draw or a win, it wouldn't have looked too bad. Personally, I think United should be beating Arsenal, but this is certainly going to knock the confidence. Some fellas are shirking responsibility. It'd be interesting to see the team sheet now against Arsenal. I fully expect, even though Alex Telles played excellently tonight and was unfairly substituted, that Luke Shaw will be back in again. And with the way some of the Arsenal players are playing at the moment, wouldn't be surprised to see Luke Shaw being absolutely decimated by one or two of them. Anyway, that's my video for today. Hope you liked the video. Share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, check out the link below, and I'll talk to you later. Good luck.